Hi, third graders. Welcome back to our class Read Aloud. Hi, friends. We're reading from Tomorrow Girls Behind the Gates, and we finished chapter 11 when some of the girls were set off to go find some water. And on their adventure to find water, they came across these two dark figures, and they didn't know, was it a deer, bear, what was going on? Turns out they were boys. And if you recall, about 6, 7 chapters ago, when the girls arrived at CMS, there was that boys' school from across the lake. So I'm wondering, are they from there? So let's get started into chapter 12 and see what finds out. Our group leader sent us out to look for some firewood, said Alonzo, who was tall and thin and had a thick head of hair. He had large brown eyes. We got so involved looking for the wood that we lost track of where we were, said the other boy, whose name was Ryan. You don't have any firewood? Maddie noted suspiciously. I have to give her credit for the observation. I hadn't even noticed. Of course, I'm in shock, being that these are real live boys and we haven't seen boys in forever. We dumped it when we realized that we were lost. We've been walking for a really long time. I think we might be going in circles, Ryan said. Ryan is Alonzo's opposite. He had reddish blonde hair. He was a strong-built guy with bright blue eyes, and he just looked a little different. How can we even know if we were going in circles? Alonzo said, throwing his arms wide with frustration. It all looks the same out here, Ryan said. What I wouldn't give for a street sign right about now. That made me laugh. I think if you're not a country boy, then I can tell that, huh? No kidding, Ryan cries, breaking into a smile. I guess it shows, huh? Kind of, Maddie said. Evelyn extended her palm and showed them the compass. Well, this will tell you if you're walking in circles or not. I wish we had a compass, Alonzo cried. Our group leader, Joe, he has one, but he's not sharing it. How did you ever wrestle that away from your leader? When he says this, I think of how Rosie has been designated different responsibilities to different team members. And although she was bossy, she doesn't really always hog everything for herself. And I make note of that in my mind to remind Maddie when we get back later. Oh, this is actually mine, Evelyn says. I brought it with me. I'd lend it to you, but I don't know how I'd ever get it back. Oh, I know, Ryan says. They keep us separated like something awful happened if we all got together. One cool girl waved at us one time, and our headmaster was about to have a conniption. That was me, I say. For real? Ryan asked, delighted. Yeah, for real. I was the one waving to you. Ryan raises his hand, and I slapped him high five. That was so cool. And then all the other girls, they started waving back. We noticed that you might be getting in trouble, though, because of it. Yeah, I got scolded at, but who cares? Yeah, same here, Ryan answered. It was so worth it to know that there was actually other people nearby. This place is so weird. I've been going to school with girls since kindergarten, and now we have to be separated? Are the three of you lost, too? Alonzo asked. No, we have a compass, remember? Evelyn answered. We just came down to find some water. We've been boiling a hearty berry grass soup for supper. Yummy, right? Berries and grass? Alonzo lets out a bark of laughter. You're kidding me, right? I wish I was, Evelyn tells him. We're so hungry. This is all we could find out here. Alonzo then dug in his backpack and pulled out several wax paper packages of potato chips. Instantly, my mouth began to water. Here, you guys can have these, he offered. Ryan offers more bags of chips and 2 apples. I also have some sandwiches in here that are left over from our lunch. You guys can have those too. Oh, we can't take your food, Maddie protested, although her eyes were wide and longing. What would you guys eat then? Oh, we brought a ton of food, Alonzo said. If we ever find our way back to our campsite, we could even give you more. You didn't happen to see a creek in your travels, did you? I asked. I know it's got to be around here somewhere. Oh, it's right behind where we came from, Alonzo said. Come on, we'll show you where it's at. They took us directly to the creek, and we filled the pot with water, and it looks like some cool and fresh water. There's nothing wrong with this water, Evelyn says as we scooped it into the pot and put the cups into our mess kits. Rosie's just buying into all these lies that they're feeding us at Country Manor. What lies? Alonzo asked. Our headmistress says that lake over there is polluted, Maddie explains. We were just swimming in it yesterday, Ryan says. See? Evelyn says knowingly. What other lies have they told you? Alonzo asked, seeming to know. I'm not sure, but something is definitely different and going on at CMS, Evelyn tells him. She was now in her conspiracy theory element and finally had a new audience member to listen. Why did they take all our electronic devices if they don't work? Why can't we just hang on to them? And why the big secrecy about where we are? Who's really going to want to come here and hurt us? We're just a bunch of teenagers. I do agree with you, Alonzo said. Things have seemed kind of dicey to me here from the start, too. Paranoid much? I cracked, trying to get along, and frankly, I was just sick of Evelyn's constant worries. Maybe not, Maddie says. So if you're not a country boy, then where are you from? I asked Ryan. He was helping me carry the pot of water, which was really heavy when it was full. We've fallen behind the rest of the group, trying not to spill much of the water, and I was happy to actually have a chance to talk to him. Chicago, actually. Chicago? I cried happily. Me too! Wow, Ryan said. Cool. What do you miss most about it? Not a thing, I reply. It's crowded, it's dirty, my parents don't let me out of their sight for even a minute. What's to miss? It wasn't always that way, Ryan says. He makes me think of the wide streets, beautiful stores, the theaters, the restaurants, the lake, the big fountain. I know, I agree sadly, but that's not how it is now. Besides, I love CMS. I do too, but I miss the Field Museum at least. That part that was still open was so cool, Ryan says. Yeah, I agree. The second time the river flooded, the gorgeous museum of the natural history and science was all practically destroyed. It was a horrible disaster. It was on the day when the museum was closed, but no one was hurt, but it did ruin big parts of the museum. Priceless, irreplaceable artifacts like rare fossils, skeletons of extinct animals, and they were just destroyed forever. Even though it's a wreck, I love going there, Ryan said wistfully. My favorite was the Art Institute, I remember fondly, before the fire, of course. It hurts to even think about it. It was in the first year of the war, and the Alliance claimed responsibility for igniting the fire that scorched through all of the exhibit's hallway. Everything was destroyed. I couldn't stand to think of my favorites, like the French Impressionists, Monet, and all the other great artists and paintings that were recognized there. The memory of what made me want to change the subject. So, you love CMS too? What do you like most about it? I ask. Oh, the athletic program for sure, Ryan replies. There was nothing like this at my old school. Here it feels just so good to move, and they really challenge you, and I've done stuff that I've never had a chance to do before. Oh, like what? Well, I just learned how to swim. I never swam before in my life, and it turns out I'm actually really good at it. I can't believe it, I cry. I love to swim. They have the best pool in the world in our gym, though I haven't really got a chance to swim in it. So far, we've only been able to canoe in the pool, but that's something I've never done before. Exactly, Ryan says. There's so many cool new things. I'm learning so much, and CMS is really awesome. So what do you think of Evelyn's theories? Alonzo's just like her, Ryan tells me. You know, he's a great guy, but I think his imagination has just grown too wild. It could be that CMS is just so cool that it seems too good to be true, so he thinks it can't be, you know? Makes sense. It's a smart conclusion, I think. As we got closer to the campsite, I can see that Maddie, Evelyn, and Alonzo were now talking to Rosie. Rosie didn't look happy at all. In fact, her arms were flying up in the air in an angry gesture, and she was shouting at all of them. That doesn't look good over there, I mutter. No, Ryan agrees, looking worried. It sure doesn't. As we get even closer, I start to hear that Rosie now is shouting. Have you missed the point of this weekend completely? We can't just count on running into other people with food. It's about taking care of ourselves. But we did run into other people who were willing to give us some food, Maddie protests. So we had a break. Who cares? So what? This is stupid, Evelyn shouts back at Rosie. I've been walking all day. I'm hungry. I'm starving. They have food. I want to eat food. Then pick up a rifle and shoot something, Rosie shouted back. All the other girls had stopped doing what they were doing just to watch the argument. You're the best shooter in the group. Why couldn't you hit anything? Maddie reminded Rosie. I'm pretty good with a rifle, Alonzo offered. I could give it a try if you like. No, Rosie wails. All of you are so not getting this. I need to smooth this over somehow. I pick up the pace, closing in the last yard between us and the campsite. Ryan hurried up alongside me. I have the water, I called out when we were just about to reach them. Great, but what are we supposed to do? You were supposed to carry it by yourself, Rosie snapped back. We set down the bucket, and I decided to ignore her criticism. Rosie, this is Ryan, Rosie, and I guess you've met Alonzo. I don't care who they are, she shouts. Contact with boys are forbidden. They're not even supposed to be here. She gestures towards the others in our group. One of them is bound to slip up and say something, and then we're all going to be in trouble. There's a murmur of discontent from the others. Can we just have the sandwiches? Annie asks, though it was more of a command than a request. We're all really starving. Annie's words were echoed by the other girls. Rosie turns towards them and seems to realize an uprising is brewing. Do what you want, she huffs to the group, and she stomps over to her tent. I just don't care anymore. When Rosie disappeared into her tent, we were all just standing there for a minute, silently looking at one another. Do you guys want the sandwiches or not? Alonzo finally asked, speaking to Maddie and Evelyn. They looked at me for the opinion. Sure, why not? I say with a shrug. I looked to the others. Here's the water if anyone's thirsty or would like to make soup. Everyone was thirsty. No one wanted the soup. So we all ate, including Ryan and Alonzo, Maddie, Evelyn, and I, and we all sat with them. So, Alonzo, I know Ryan is from Chicago like we are. Where are you from? I ask. Nowhere, Alonzo says, looking out into the forest. Maddie laughs slightly. Well, you gotta be from someplace, she insists. Everyone's from someplace. Out east, Alonzo says. I move around a lot, here and there, you know. I get the feeling that he doesn't really want to talk about home. But that's okay. We have more important matters to discuss. If you guys had a compass, could you find your way back to your group? I ask. Alonzo and Ryan nod as they were chewing their sandwiches. Our map is tucked into the top of Rosie's half-open backpack, which was still propped against a log outside of her tent. I get up and slide it out. Evelyn, could you get us back to school without your compass? I ask. Oh, definitely not, Evelyn answers. But I have my own, remember? Reaching into her pocket, she hands Alonzo her compass. Are you sure? Alonzo asks as she hands it over. Absolutely, Evelyn says. You better get going, though. You don't have much light left, and there's a small flashlight that's built just right into it. Just press it, she demonstrated, and it was shooting off a small beam of light around the campsite. Suddenly, I realize how dark it really is, and the other girls are all heading into their tents to sleep. If you don't get back, will your group start to search for you? I ask. They might, so we better get going, Ryan says, getting up. Thanks so much for your help. Thank you for the food, Maddie says. Alonzo stands by the fire and studies the compass by the flickering light from the dying flames. He turns into the direction that they came from. Okay, I think I know what to do, he murmurs. Together, he and Ryan pick up their backpacks and head out. Maddie yawns and stretches. I have to sleep. Me too, Evelyn agrees. And with a wave, Maddie crawls into her tent that she shares with Evelyn. See you bright and early for more fun and games in the great outdoors, Evelyn says as she heads for her tent. Suddenly, I'm hit with the overwhelming fatigue that they're feeling, but I have a problem. I'm sharing a tent with Rosie, and I'm sort of dreading getting in there with her. If she wakes up or if she isn't asleep yet, it's going to be so tense in there, to say the least. Gazing up at the sky, I see twinkling stars spinning off into the field of clear, dark navy blue. The brilliant three-quarter moon lights up everywhere, and a beautiful night it was, the clearest I've seen since I don't know how many years. Luckily, my sleeping bag was still rolled and lashed to the bottom of my backpack. I know my ground cloth is still rolled in there, and it would keep away any dampness. In an instant, I'm up and untying the sleeping roll from my pack. I'm so tired, but I'd rather sleep out here on the earth than risk facing Rosie's anger inside our tent. Finding a flat spot covered with pine needles, I spread out my things, crawl into my sleeping bag, and in about a second I'm asleep. Maybe I slept a long time before I started to dream. It could be that, or that I had other dreams that I don't recall. But what I remember is Maddie, Evelyn, Rosie, and I, we were captured in a dark, sinister castle. And Mrs. Brewster was in there sweeping the floors using an old broom with a branch for a handle. And every time she looked up at us, she would crackle with a witch frightening laugh. And there was a crystal ball on the table, and suddenly a picture appeared in it, and it was my parents. And they were running to the ball to see them home in Chicago. But Mom was sick in bed, and I have to get home to her. Mom, Dad, I shout. But they couldn't hear me, and my eyes snapped open, and I sat up in my sleeping bag, and everything in pink and bluish gray. But I'm not sure where I was for a second. Smelling the charred embers of last night's fire helped me remember where I am. But something's not right. I know this for sure, though. At first, I can't make sense of it. I wake up just a little bit more, and it hits me. Evelyn! Maddie! I shout. Get up! They scramble out of their tent and look around. Their faces were as confused and upset as mine were. We're alone. We're all alone. The rest of the campsite had been cleared away. All the girls and stuff was gone. Wow. That brings us to chapter 13. Whew. Well, I will be back on again sometime soon. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you later.